You're muted. No, you're not. Okay. I don't know.
Hey everybody, it's Hot Rod. How's everybody doing?
Hey Rod, how are you?
Good, thanks. I'm gonna go back to mute for now. Just want to check in.
Morning, Rod.
Hi, Sue. Steve Mansfield here. I think the mayor and I have the same taste in coffee.
Hi Steve, how are you? You do.
Good, how you doing?
You and a lot of other people. How you doing today?
Hanging in there. How about you?
Same. Yep.
Anybody have drone delivery yet? Because I'll take a Sumatra, medium Sumatra at City Hall.
I can drop one off when I leave.
Thanks.
How do you take it?
Cream, plenty of cream.
Cream only, no sugar?
No, I'm sweet enough. No sugar.
Okay, I've heard that about you. How about you, Steve? Or where are you?
I'm in the office. I like mine black.
Oh, all right. I'll deliver yours too.
Thanks.
She's on brush, you know, right?
So it's just 10 o'clock. So I'm going to ask that if you're not speaking, to put yourself on mute, just so we, avoid some background noises, kids running around, that sort of thing, embarrassing moments. Put yourselves on mute. You're free during the meeting to unmute yourself and chime in with a question. I'm just going to stall for a few minutes while more people sign in. It's good to see you all. We've been working hard to get ready for our rollout on the 20th here in New London. We're up to 38 participants in the meeting now. People are still signing on, so I'm gonna stall for a few minutes, give you a little background. I have Felix Reyes, our development director, is on. Steve Mansfield is on. These are going to be the two key individuals that are here to answer your questions. I can tell you that the governor's order 7MM came out late yesterday afternoon, and we've all been digesting it. I don't think there's any big surprises, but the good news is that the governor's order will support what we intended to do in New London, which is to facilitate your plans to reopen in a safe manner outdoors. I understand that we would love to be able to move back inside, but that not being possible, we're going to try to make you as successful as we can under the limitations that we've been given. So the city is going to stand by ready to help you. So we're up to 43 members in the call. It's just a couple of minutes after 10. Why don't we just give it a couple of minutes? We don't have to repeat ourselves, and then I'm going to kick it off to Felix. We also have our chairman of planning and zoning on. We have our zoning official on, Michelle Scobin. Barry Levine is the chairman. He's in the meeting. I think the city has all the resources we need. Judy Cox is here from the Office of Community Development. We have the resources on this call that we need, so we're hopefully going to be able to answer all your questions. I will tell you that for some of you, we would prefer to work with you individually on what your individual plans are, because we are interested in custom tailoring what you need for your particular situation, the neighborhood you're in, whatever. But just want to reassure everybody that we're here to make it work for you. So with that, why don't Felix? I'll sort of keep my eye on the chats, and if you want to take it away. And I do want to thank Steve Mansfield for all of his help as our health director and the executive director at Ledge Light Health District. So go ahead, Felix, take it away.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. It's always good to see everyone's lovely faces on this beautiful sunny day. I know the mayor has acknowledged some of the folks have joined. I see a couple of the councilmen. I see Curtis Goodwin. I see a lot of the restaurant owners in downtown. It's going to be hard not to look at that big ice cream behind Laura this whole time. That's a great backdrop. Staff, department heads, thank you for being being on the call or the conference call this morning. A great amount of work. I must thank all the department heads this past week or two, putting all the information together. As you know, with city planning and development, all the departments all have something to do with how things are built and approved in the city. So this has truly allowed us to kind of consolidate and streamline a lot of things that weren't so easy in the past. So just looking at the glass half full. I'm going to share my screen. I do have a quick presentation. I will try to make this kind of a two-part presentation. One is just a lot of information, and then the second half will be just simple questions and answers. So let me just quickly shift over, and hopefully I can do this. And let's share. All right. All right. Can someone give me a thumbs up, Mayor? Can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see my screen? The PowerPoint's up? Wonderful. All right. Great. So so this is the information I want to share with you is both coming from the state of Connecticut with guidelines and also, local municipal guidelines, and just trying to present this to show you that we're all kind of meshing together and as the mayor said earlier, working with our small businesses to, at the end of the day, just kind of stay out of the way. I mean, that's the whole goal of this, is be in partnership and do what we can on our end to kind of fast track things, to kind of step to the side and allow the small businesses to flourish as much as possible in these difficult times. So the first thing we just want to go through quickly is the guidelines. This is on the state of Connecticut portal. At the end, I will give you the website for that, so you can look it up. But I do encourage you to go through this in detail. I'm just taking kind of snapshots just to share some of the things that I think are important to mention. A few things that I've noticed on these guidelines is that there are some things that are subjective, there are things that are objective, and there are ideas that they're, just trying to help you kind of figure out how do we go from takeout to now to this first phase of dining outside. So the objective aspects of this is obviously the sanitation, the cleaning, and the public safety and staff safety. So really do a good job of just kind of making sure you're going through those details just to make sure, and a lot of you have already, doing the curb checkout and keeping staff safe. You guys are already doing that. We're seeing that, but now that we're transitioning to outdoors, it's about that next level of sanitation and guidelines and cleaning, just to give the public the confidence to go there. Some safeguards that to talk about are this 50% capacity for businesses. This is a question that's come up quite a few times this week. That 50%, the way we interpret it, is based on the occupancy load of the building. And Vern, and I believe Kirk may be on, but I know Vern is on from the fire marshal, and they established this for each of the buildings. So if the occupancy is 100 people for that property, you could have up to 50 people. So it's not 50% of your outdoor dining space. You're not going to have empty tables. So just wanted to make sure that was clarified. Others, obviously, strict cleaning, work from home when you can, which is a kind of a high level. 65 and older, or folks that have immune has a compromised immune system. We're asking residents to kind of stay home. Face masks to be worn. Obviously, you can't do it while you eat, but whoever designs that, I think, will be a millionaire really soon. And then social gatherings restricted to 5 people. Another question has come up on previous webinars on the 5 people is what happens if I have a family of 6? What if my wife and our 4 kids want to take our family out to eat? The answer is sorry, it is 5 max. So please, when you are designing your outdoor dining, make sure there are no tables with more than 5 seats added. That would be, I would say, a waste of space. They did provide this nice little rendering. I'm sure most of you seen it already. A lot of the inside of the renderings and kind of guidelines, you guys are already following it already. But some of the things to mention is really about this, the reusable menus. We see this, people have the chalkboards outside. I see this at Rod's place, at Laura's. People use digital signage, all the types of menus, whiteboards. These are all great ideas. These are all approved ideas. Just can't be reusable, kind of like those plastic menus. We suggest just to have more of a sustainable model. If there's opportunities to have kind of walk up, where I've seen some have the menus on your windows, that's better than having a bunch of paper printed every day, if it's possible. But we want to look at sustainable models as well. Contactless payments are encouraged. I think we're in a digital age. I think folks are figuring that out, making sure we have hand sanitizer that's available outside. And also the 6 feet between the tables, it shows in the figure, it's between the back of the chairs. That question comes up often. Is it table to table? The way this diagram has it, it's from the back of the chair to the back of the chair. So that's something just to make sure. And finally, there is a certification that DECD is asking. If you look at the top right-hand corner, it's kind of like this reopen badge that you can put on it. So look into that. And again, that goes back to what I mentioned earlier about following the rules, guidelines, that you guys are on top of things, and you're doing everything you can to keep the public safe. And when the public sees this, they know and they're confident that your space is clean and following the rules. All right, so executive order number 7MM. This came last night. I think I read it and got it about at 1 in the morning. Woke up and tried to read it again. I'm glad our attorney Jeff Londrigan spent some time on it, and he has some cliff notes on it. But at high level, and this call is not to go into that very detailed. Again, we encourage you to read through the information. It's really important. At the high level, the way I'm translating it is that the governor is looking to suspend the dining. So one of the big things that's so dynamic and great about New London is that we already allow it. So it's different for other towns who don't allow it. For instance, a sidewalk area, we already allow that. There is an application process for that. So just know that this executive order for New London, it doesn't affect us so much in regards to the ability to do something outside because we already allow it, but it just helps to expedite that. And our chair, Barry Levine, our zoning officer, Michelle Skovish, our attorney, Jeff Londrigan, parking authority, we're all looking at this in detail, and there's more information to come, but we already have applications and processes. What this executive order is saying is that you have a time limit. When somebody applies for something, you have a time limit of about 10 days to make an approval. And approvals can be as informal as an email. Yes, you can go ahead. Those are the goals of the city from the beginning, is to make approvals much easier. The big one that people are waiting on was the patio extension. If you have a liquor license, you are allowed to serve alcohol outside. You don't have to apply for the patio license. That was a kind of a hiccup for some instances. But those who have a liquor license know that part of this is you don't need the extension. And also, The last one that I think is worth mentioning is the private clubs to sell alcohol to their members. I don't know how many private clubs. I think the Thames Club might be the only private club that I can think of, but I can be wrong. I can be proven wrong on that. But they're allowed to serve alcohol to their members for delivery and pickup. So that was something that came up. So whoever is involved in working with the Thames Club or catering and working with them, please read this because this does affect you.
Alex,
Yes.
there are some other private clubs. There's the VFW, American Legion, those types of things.
Perfect.
Elks Club.
Perfect. Thank you, Barry. Sidewalk permits, we already have an application. On the city's website, Rochelle, the mayor's executive assistant, was nice enough to put on the page of our website all the documents that you're going to need for processing permits. The only thing that we didn't put on there was planning and zoning permits. We do ask that you reach out to Michelle directly for those zoning permits or all. It's very complicated and it's much easier just to reach out directly to Michelle. So that's the only application you're not going to see in part of this package that I put together to consolidate all the approvals. It's on the front page of our city website, www.newlondonct.org, and there's a link there, and each application insurance requirements are there. But sidewalk permits are allowed. One of the executive orders is that you don't have to have an architect kind of draw engineering plans. It's just a sketch. Show us what you want to do. Fill out the applications, a couple pages, and we will do everything in our power to expedite that. So if you are planning a sidewalk permit, please let us know. And we have staff waiting to help ensure that that is processed in a timely manner. Building permits for outdoor tents. And Vern and Kirk, you can always step in at any time on this. I can't see you on the screen, but you can step in. From what I gather, what Kirk has told us is that the temporary structures, which are tents, there's two of them, right? There's the large tents that is anything larger than 120 square feet, and then there's the small pop-up tents. They're both allowed, but you need a building permit for that. So please call the building department. So when you install that, both the building department and Vern can go inspect it. Vern did mention to me, and I could be wrong, Vern, that anything above 900 square feet should be inspected by the fire marshal. These temporary structures can be a huge hazard if they're not installed correctly. Please don't just call Arrow Paper and just have one put in without inspection. Please, they need these massive blocks to hold them down. We live on a coast. There's heavy winds along the coastal line. Please have this inspected, and we'll work with you to have that expedited. And then pop-up tents, anything under 120 square feet, we're not going to. That doesn't require permits. Those are allowed. If you require power on these temporary structures, please follow codes. The last thing we want to see is a huge knot full of extension cords and power strips on the side of a road for lighting and heaters and all things like that. So please, as much as we want to expedite and get you guys going, we still want to make sure that everyone is absolutely safe with what's part of this phase 1 outdoor dining. Outdoor cooking is allowed. Some towns are not allowing it, but outdoor cooking is allowed. The fire marshal Vern has put these kind of bullets together. That's part of this package that's on the website. So please look. It's just some quick bullets on what to avoid and what not to do, and some safety guidelines. And also the contact information is there for the fire marshal. So if you plan on having, like, I'm assuming, a grill or something outside, outside cooking is allowed in New London, and please follow these guidelines. Note, Joe Losafarmi from our utilities department, he did send me a note, and to add it to this. Please do not connect drains to outdoor kitchens. If you have an outdoor kitchen or sink, do not run a hose to it, because it can cause a backflow issue, which will pollute your drinking water and has potential to polluting the stormwater system. So please don't do that. If you're not set up for outdoor plumbing, please do not jerry rig a hose to an outdoor sink. This and at the when I'm done with this, Steve Mansfield can can further kind of dive into some of the health guidelines on outdoor cooking, but understand that legislate is still, I would say, and the enforcement over outdoor cooking. These are just safety precautions for that. An encroachment permit. And this is something that we see like at Deb's, where she has like a parklet in front of her restaurant. This requires an encroachment permit, the use of the parking spaces. So as you can see, kind of like this image it's a small deck with some patio tables, and the floor plan in the slide kind of shows that it has to be in front of your business. You can't take up a strip of in parking spaces in front of other businesses. So be careful, where you place it. The Public Works is in charge of those encroachment permits, and that does require a certificate of occupant, a certificate of insurance for that. So please look at those guidelines. Clearly, they're very simple, and note that part of this executive order is that the fees are waived. And Mayor, I don't know if you're going to cringe or not. I can't see your face, but I believe I'm reading that correctly in the as part of the executive order, that the fees have been waived to allow for outdoor dining in these types of instances. I don't know what it is for planning and zoning, because the application process are a little bit more involved, but that's something that we're to be determined, but we'll follow up with that information. But more importantly, is to give us the applications.
Felix, it appears that the fees, from my reading of the executive order, the fees are also waived for permits requested under this order.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Barry. So there you go. So more importantly, just get the applications into us. So that helps expedite that and makes that a little bit easier for the small businesses who are struggling to stay afloat. So that was good. All right, so I'm gonna leave this slide up for questions just for 2 seconds. Please look at the different websites for municipal applications, www.newlandct.org or developnewland.com. We have that package of information at both websites. The developnewlondon.com is our Office of Planning and Development, and the guidelines, what we had talked about earlier, is there. Please read that, open that up, and go through that in detail. So I'm going to stop there because I have talked enough, but I'm hoping that that was just a good chunk of information. And I want to have Steve Mansfield, I'm going to put myself on pause, and I want to have Steve Mansfield talk about some of the regulations and some of the questions that he's been getting that he can add a little bit more flavor to. And then we're going to go into questions and answers for the second half of this presentation regarding health, wellness, and also some of the information that I had talked about earlier. All right. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks, Felix. That was a great overview. Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to add a few things. I think Felix did a really comprehensive presentation. I want to remind everyone that the governor is going to be issuing at least one more executive order that will provide more detail. So although we're moving forward and we have a lot of information to plan, everyone should expect that there will be further clarifications, because obviously the governor's office is receiving a ton of inquiries from health departments, municipalities, and individuals about the specifics. So we'll just roll with it as much as we can. What we've done is basically at Ledgelight, we've taken the information that Felix just provided, we've taken all those guidance documents and boiled them down into a one-page checklist of things that need to be done. It's just about finished. We'll be posting it on our website and social media platforms, and we'll be sending a message out to all of our regulated establishments district-wide. But basically what this checklist will allow you to do as a restaurant owner is look and determine what are the inspectors going to be looking at when they come out to my establishment. So the executive orders that are out there and the guidance documents are kind of dense. So we've boiled them down into something that's really easy to read and understand. So for instance, when Katie Baldwin heads out to Barry's, Laura will know exactly what Katie's going to be looking for. And again, I don't want people to think of this as a regulatory inspection. It's not something that we do every day. And actually, the governor hasn't made it clear if we even have local health departments have the authority to do the enforcement for these executive orders. It's our responsibility to make sure our food service establishments know what the executive orders say, and we'll do our best to help you comply with them. So we aren't going to be doing routine inspections in regard to these executive orders. You'll be allowed to open and begin to operate, and we have a dozen inspectors we'll be sending out to our establishments district-wide. But you shouldn't wait on us in order to open up your business and keep going. Now, that being said, if you do plan on doing outdoor cooking, you should contact Ledge Light Health District directly. We do allow people to do outdoor cooking as a matter of routine, and we'll just walk you through the process that you need to do. And this isn't in regard to the executive orders, it's really in regard to our local regulation and the Connecticut Public Health Code. But it isn't hard to do, and we allow people to do it all the time. So please reach out to us if you plan on doing cooking. You don't need to reach out to us if you plan on serving outdoors. That's not something that's covered under our local or state regulations. As far as the food safety measures that are put in place outdoors, if you are doing cooking, it's standard. It's covered under 1913 B42 of the Public Health Code and our local regulations. So it shouldn't be something that should be unfamiliar to you. It'll be pretty standard. So, and again, no fees or anything. So we'll do our best to, excuse me, we'll do our best to get you up and running as quickly as possible. And when we get to questions, I'm happy to answer any that you may have. And we've probably heard them already and have some answers from DPH and the governor's office. But if we have new ones, I'll make sure to forward them to the appropriate folks.
All right. So I think at this point, we can utilize either the chat. I guess the Mayor Passero, if you don't mind managing the chat, or if someone wants to kind of raise their hand or talk at this moment to, I think not even questions and answers. I would love to hear ideas. So what are folks doing? I think knowledge is power at this. And I think if someone has a creative idea of how to handle certain things, I think we're all open to see what each of us are what our solutions are. So if you don't mind sharing what you plan on doing, I think that's worth the discussion this morning as well. And what can we as a city be doing to help small business owners and restaurants through this time? So, please, if there's other things outside of just regulations and guidelines that you want to discuss, I'm more than happy to take those questions as well.
So Felix, we have a couple good questions already, and I'm not sure who this would be directed to. Steve, maybe you could help us. I don't know if Felix, you ran into this. I don't know the answer, but from Tim Grills, for the Reopen CT badge, if anybody's familiar with that, where do you find the site or document to take the self-certification? Can you please post or send the link?
Good question. What I'll do is I'll put that, I'll look it up now and I'll put that in the chat link right now.
Okay, we'll find that for you, Tim, and if we don't by the end of this this teleconference, we'll certainly get it out to you somehow through Facebook, on the city's website, or I think we have an email list of all our restaurants. And then
if I could jump in for a second here, I just did check. Yes, the guidance document said the badging will be posted. It has not been posted yet, to the best of our knowledge. There is a link in the guidance document to, I can't remember what agency it is that's going to post it, but it has not been posted yet. And as soon as it does become posted, we'll share it with everyone, put it on our website and social media platforms as well.
And just a reminder, if you get in the habit of checking in with the city's website or Develop New London website, we will endeavor to make sure that all the information and updated information is easily accessible. I might be making a promise as far as the city's website that I can't keep because it's a little clunky, but we will do our best to make sure that you don't have to search for hours to find the information. So we'll try to keep you all this information and guidance is coming out daily and it's changing, but we'll try to keep everybody updated. And then from Rob, where will there be PDFs for the signage that is recommended in the phase 1 rollout? That's a great question. Do we know if there's any standard signage or how we will, if we're going to be able to help other restaurants acquire that?
Have
Steve, there you go. Sorry. Go ahead,
sorry.
Steve.
We have posted a number of guidance documents from the CDC for both cosmetology and food service that fulfill a lot of the requirements. We posted that on our website and social media platforms, so everybody can just go take a look. We just did that late last night, about 11:30, so I will need to double check and make sure that they're already up there, but we're doing our best to provide documents that you can just go and print and post, so you don't have to do that yourself. So check our website, social media platforms. If they're not there now, they'll be up there very shortly.
So Ledge Light will provide the templates for the necessary signage?
For all the ones that there are templates available for, everything that we can gather from our various sources, we'll put up there. Yeah.
Okay, Rob, I hope that answers your question. And so anybody feel free to unmute yourself. I think you're able to. If not, give us a wave and we'll assist, and jump in and ask your question.
Mayor, it's Chief Curcio. If I could just say one thing, because I was going to have Vern add to this discussion also. I don't think it was touched on the PowerPoint. Thank you for hosting this again. Great forum to have this in. Felix, tremendous job. Thank you, Steve Mansfield, for everything that you've been doing for us. I just wanted to mention, I put it on the chat section again there. I reached out to Mike Caplet from Area 4, Region 4, Demis this morning. They are going to have another supply of surgical masks for businesses with 50 employees or less. They're encouraging you to put in. We only had 12 today that were distributing the surgical masks to. So I encourage you to go on there. They say there, I think there's a limit for 2 masks per employee, but they're going to allow you to put in for some extra. It might be going on for the next couple of weeks. So I encourage you to go on that website today, get yourself on that list, and we will pick that up next Wednesday again. We picked up a supply today. We'll do it again for you next week, and we will distribute that to your business. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was we had a question last week about, since you might be doing some patio serving, about propane heaters that they put outside. There are some regulations for that, and that's all I have to say. I'm just going to turn that over to Vern so he could address that right now, should there be any questions on those portable patio heaters. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. A couple of things that we thought of recently. Patio heaters, they're permitted to be used outside your business. They have to be more than 5 feet away from the means of egress, from your front door and such, and the openings of the tent. The one thing to be careful of, most of those patio heaters are not designed for under tent use. So if you're going to have heat for your tent, get the appropriate heating mechanism, and most of the tent manufacturers have those. So it's pretty simple, but very important.
Thank you, Vern.
This is Rod. This is Rod from Hot Rods. I had a comment, if that's okay.
Yes, Rod, go ahead.
Cool. Thank you for doing this meeting. I think it's great. So much information out there. It's hard to figure out what's going on. So I'm very appreciative of that. One idea I had, and I just want to see if it's something that could perhaps work, is I take it from the private sector. At Hot Rods, we've gotten a lot of people that want to help out. And for example, I'm here with my chef early today because we're delivering 53 meals that somebody volunteered to pay for to the hospital, to the environmental services over there. So I think that's great. But if there's any kind of grant money, or if there's a way to try and help as many of the small businesses in town without going through a big approval process, perhaps a small amount could be carved out for gift certificates that can be used at any local businesses that want to participate. Maybe even the city could print them up and say, these are the restaurants that are participating. And it might just be a way to really kind of spread the love around, because you're paying it on 2 ends. On one end, you're helping the small businesses get some revenue, and then you can distribute it to whoever you want, maybe municipal workers, maybe students, maybe just people who need it. So I just thought that might be a way to get a lot of bang for the buck for any grant money that might be available aside from doing grants and loans. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Rod. I think that's a great idea. You have the right audience listening. We have our community development office is represented, and Felix Reyes is in charge of steering those any monies that become available to the best uses in our small business community. So thank you. That's a great suggestion.
Mayor, I will say, thanks, Rod. I will say that's a good plug-in because we hope to see more rounds of funding. The first round of funding that we did receive for our small businesses, we did set up a grant application and divvy that up to both help our small businesses, help the humanitarian efforts for our community, and also the municipal costs that it take to fund some of these the PPE and the efforts on the front line. So we will look for new creative ways of spending future money. And yeah, definitely, I think that's a great idea. We can definitely look at that as a method of using a grant funding in the future for our communities. The Surge grant that closed last Friday, wanted to just give kudos to our community development office. They went through, I believe, 47 applications for that. And those who did apply for that grant will know by the end of tomorrow that they, essentially what they've received for that grant. So please look out for that. You will be receiving a letter, I believe, from Community Development Office or from the Mayor's Office, essentially just saying congratulations and the amount that was awarded. And that was designed to help supplement some of the hardship that you guys are going through and help with some of the utilities and rents. So we do look forward to potentially getting new future opportunities to help out the community, and we'll look at different creative ways to spread that money around. So thank you for everyone that did apply. Hopefully you'll get that letter tomorrow by the end of the day.
Felix, may I jump in for a moment?
Yes, go ahead, Steve.
So a couple of things, just follow up the Reopen Connecticut badge. It is yet to be posted. We just double checked. And also, as far as template posting for cosmetology and food service establishments, I just posted a link to the Ledgelight Health District webpage that has a whole bunch of different links to posters that will be helpful as you deal with your signage needs. It's not comprehensive, but it's a good start. So feel free to check in the Zoom group chat, and the information's there.
Thank you, Steve. So,
Hi, Felix. It's Roseanne. I have a quick question. Good morning.
Morning.
I got a phone call on Monday. Actually, it was a restaurant from Ledyard. I didn't have the answer. I turned him over to the Ledyard town clerk about masks for employees. Do they have to be the medical masks, or can it be those handmade masks that everybody's making for actual in-house employees?
That's a great question, Roseanne. I think we'll throw that one to Steve.
Steve, yeah. I would say that on the public use, it did talk about the different types of masks, like the cotton mask, but that's for the public. That we're confident that's what the public's using, but I can't speak upon what the business owners and staff waiters have to do. Steve, can you elaborate on that?
Doing it from memory, from reading the guidance documents last night. They do not have to be medical grade. They're absolutely not supposed to be N95 or KN95. So standard surgical masks like Rob is wearing over here, or the standard face coverings that everyone is wearing around town are adequate based on the information we've received so far.
Yeah, and let me reinforce Chief Curcio's message to everybody. We don't get the feeling that our businesses are fully taking advantage of the offer from the state. So he's posted the link in the chat box. If you want to order surgical masks, really all you have to do is go to the website and put in your order. We will pick them up. We will deliver them to you. So take advantage of that. I don't think that order is going to be out there very long. So for the next week or two, if the state is still willing to distribute those surgical masks, we sure hope that our small businesses in New London will take advantage of that. These will be for your employees. So stock up now. At some point, all of these costs are going to be transferred to the city and to the businesses. From the city's point of view, going forward, the new reality is we will be budgeting for the costs for providing these PPE protections for our employees in, basically the new world that we're living in.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to confirm what I just said. According to the guidance document about personal protection for employees, all employees are required to wear a face mask or other cloth face covering that completely covers the nose and mouth, unless doing so would be contrary to his or her health or safety due to medical conditions. And employees may utilize their own cloth face covering over that provided by their employer if they choose. So cloth face coverings are okay.
Okay, I'm getting a few messages in the chat box. Peter from Mr. G's, go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Hi, good morning. I don't have a question, but first of all, thank you for setting up these virtual roundtable discussions. They're very informative and help us out quite a bit. Just one aspect I didn't even think about with all this stuff going on is all you can eat buffets. They're a thing of the past now, and I don't think that affects a lot of the people involved here, but I was watching Robin Mead's show this morning, and the all you can eat buffet places are all remodeling and doing cafeteria style eating. But sometimes we do have parties and have a buffet table. And I was just actually wondering about that kind of setup. Is that legal? And you can have that buffet table with servers serving the plates rather than have each individual help themselves. If anybody wants to comment on that.
Thank you, Peter. Great question. I think.
By the way, I'm not in a tropical paradise. At my age, I learn something new on the computer every day, and I just thought I'd make everyone feel jealous.
Yeah.
But believe me, I'm at home quarantining myself. So, anyways, go ahead.
Hi, Peter. Steve from Ledgelight. So yeah, to confirm, the governor's executive orders does prohibit any type of self-service, whether it's buffet, coffee service, and so forth. I should note that those types of service are not prohibited under the Connecticut Public Health Code at this point in time. That may happen. They may make revisions to the Public Health Code, 1913b-42. I think there will be a lot of changes that this pandemic put into play moving forward. But you're absolutely right. The executive orders do prohibit that, and I don't see that being relaxed anytime soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I have a question from Sean Murray to Anthony Nolan. And Anthony, welcome if you're on this video conference. Welcome, our representative for the 39th district. I didn't see you.
Oh, he's there.
I'm here.
Okay.
Master Patrol Officer Nolan now.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Nolan, I know that a lot of restaurants came into the problem of the applying for the PPP loan, for instance, when we don't know when we're going to reopen, especially bars and restaurants that don't have outdoor seating or don't really have that sort of accessibility. So I caught wind of the rumor that, because I know 75% of the PPP is supposed to go towards payroll within 8 weeks of you getting it, but everything's still kind of up in the air. I heard rumor, I caught wind that Chris Murphy might be putting in to make it 24 weeks. Is that true?
Yeah, that is the rumor. It hasn't been confirmed yet. We actually just sent a message to his office to get confirmation on it. So as soon as we do, I will let Felix know, and so he can help put it out there.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Anthony. We have a question from Jack Chaplin of Daddy Jack's. Is there any chance the city will be providing portable restrooms and tables and chairs so we don't have to provide the service? So Felix, you can weigh in on this. I think okay. I think we're going to be working with the individual establishments depending on what their needs are and what we're doing in that particular neighborhood. So Felix, do you have any more? I don't think we've really gotten to that point of the planning.
No, I think we definitely have had discussions, and that's a great question because, a lot of these guidelines are, forcing restaurant owners to cough up, more money, right? You're having a hard enough time to make ends meet and, make a profit per table. But, if you're spending money that you haven't had in the past, it just kind of blow up the business plan and put some businesses in a position of, is it even worth opening? And these are hard questions. We don't have a solution for it now because it's just I think it's a money and coordination thing that we have to resolve. But the idea of having outdoor restrooms, I know was not something we wanted to do in the past, but obviously things have changed. And then the renting of tables and chairs based on what's available. I think that's a good discussion to start having, Mayor. I think at this point to figuring out what are the needs of the individual restaurants. So again, please share with us your plans. I think in having those one-on-one discussions will put us in a place of, all right, what actions do we have to take to make sure the transition is as smooth as possible, and what resources the city has that we can use to allocate to those needs. So yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, as we start receiving the specific plans that different restaurants would like to pursue, we will react from the city side in order to help you meet those needs and make it work. We're here. We're going to move heaven and earth to try to make this work and get our city opened up. And that's not just for our downtown district. That's for whether you're down in the Marina district. That's whether you're up at Hodges Square, wherever you are. If you're over in the area, if you're over along Broad Street somewhere, we want to give every restaurant in this city the opportunity to try to get back up and running with in a safe manner under the governor's protocols. So, next questions.
I think, Mayor, there was a question in regards of, of getting takeout or getting food from a restaurant and using other public or private spaces like the waterfront or I think the hygienic to go eat. I think from our perspective, as long as we're following social distancing practices, staying, with five people or less, there's no one's going to tell you can't sit on that bench and have your meal while, watching, the beautiful sailboats pass by. I mean, that's what we encourage people to come down and use the public spaces for that. So I don't think there's any issues with that.
Yes, I mean, I totally agree. We just have to make the accommodations, spread out. If there's areas where we can set up tables, if there's areas that we can accommodate people to spread out to enjoy the food that they just purchased in a safe manner, then we certainly want to do that. So I'm not getting any more questions in the chat. Also, if you don't have a question, and you want to feel free to just share your thoughts on how your planning is going or what your plans are. Now's the time to weigh in. We allocated about an hour for this call. We don't have to take the whole hour. One thing we'd love to hear from you. We're just a week away now from the 20th. If you think we should have another meeting next week, Monday or Tuesday, raise your hand, let us know. We can follow up one last time before we hit that what's sure to be a milestone in our reopening efforts here in New London. And that's why we're working so hard here to make sure that that we can get as many of you open by that date or after that date as possible.
Also would like to encourage, I know for Mother's Day, I got my mother a gift card from the waterfront because she loves their food, and it was a very easy to call that restaurant. Put the gift certificate was emailed to me. I was able to forward that to her. So if you guys have not yet set up an online or a method for people to buy gift cards online, please do that. Some restaurants have done it. I've gotten gift cards from Rod's, from my sisters for Mother's Day. It was a very simple thing. Was able to leave a note. So I think those kinds of creative ideas, we'll love to see that. See other restaurants use those tactics as well, because people are looking for ways to support small businesses and nonprofits, whether they're in town or out of town. So please, if you have the technology and the ability to do that, or work with your webmaster to have that done, I think that would be a positive move for business for you guys. So just my 2 cents from my experience.
All right, I got a couple of chat entries. I'll get to Janet. I'll get to your question in a minute. First, we have to do a public service announcement. The latest edition of our podcast, Talk New London, will be out this Friday, and it's going to star myself and Felix Reyes, and we're going to be touching on these same issues and updating everybody on the latest. So that will be out on Friday. So I hope you're all tuning into our podcasts. We've had some very, very interesting discussions. So from Janet, this is a great question. Steve, I hope you're still with us. What is the exact description of outdoor seating? Can the sides of the tent be down? Can it be all enclosed?
That's a good question. This has gone back and forth among local directors of health and DPH. DPH has yet to weigh in on it. There's nothing in the Connecticut Public Health Code that prohibits overhead awnings or sides. I think the big question, so I would say overhead tents are perfectly fine. I can't imagine why anyone would not want to protect the food. Putting sides on a tent, I could imagine an interpretation would be made that that's basically creating an enclosed space and that it is akin to being inside a restaurant. Although we haven't gotten an answer from DPH, I'm expecting that that's what it would be.
Okay. So this is just an example of all the details have not been worked out. We're still expecting more guidance, but I think Steve's opinion is well taken. Jack Chaplin, did you have another question? Did you want to weigh in?
No, that answered it. We're just trying to figure it out. Service, like Felix was saying, we're providing service. I think we're going to pretty much try to, step up our takeout options. We've just been doing pizzas, takeout pizzas, and, we'll probably try to expand that. But I don't, with no stimulus money coming in besides the initial, 10,000 or whatever, and then, trying to ramp up, payroll and in addition to our existing, overhead. And I think we're just going to, do the takeout, and, hopefully the customers have some place maybe to take it, they can enjoy the outdoors, and that's where kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. Well, that's interesting to hear. We'll be happy to work with you, Jack, for what your needs are. I mean, one of the ideas we're tossing out there is perhaps making Pearl Street or half of Pearl Street, perhaps east of the parking lot entrances, a a pedestrian mall, maybe get some tables out there so that people that do buy takeout and are going to hang around downtown can sit down and eat outside. So we're exploring the possibility of making some additional outdoor public spaces.
Yeah, I'd like to, a couple friends have really nice barbecue trailers, and I have to talk to Vernon about, we have a wood grill. It's, safe. There's no embers flying out. If I get a tent and, set it up out in the parking lot, pop up, to do some outdoor grilling. And, I think Robert, with the patio, the grilling and barbecue, and I think that's, I think that would be real helpful with, I think people would enjoy it, being outdoors and when the weather's nice. And the other thing I was thinking, if we get some kind of, entertainment, maybe a trio or even a soloist, to get out in the parking lot and play. And I think it'd create a nice atmosphere downtown, especially in back of where we're at. So, I don't know. I think could be a great possibility.
Okay.
I have a statement that I'd like to make. I don't know if it's even a question, but I don't know whether it's a question, but I would love to hear just what everybody else's thought on strategy. What I'm kind of hung up with right now is I get mixed feelings from customers who are reaching out that want to desperately support small business, because that seems to be the trend right now. And I know everybody's struggling with this, with the unknown. But how do you promote trying to get critical mass to make your business work outside of just to-go food, and then kind of telling people that you've got to kind of not stay together? And so I think that's my biggest hang up, is how do we promote to like kind of change, from what's happening now to just getting people downtown? Is it infrastructure? I've heard that a lot of that conversation is like public space, getting people down here, let them figure out how to get wonderful food from all of the restaurants, whether they're tents in front of them like we do during Sale Fest, getting people walking down. But I think that there's just this kind of strange kind of feeling with people where if we were to do a big event to get people down here, but yet you have to kind of not congregate, it's kind of mixed messages that I'm getting from people saying, I don't know how I feel about that yet. I kind of want to wait until, I see that things are getting better. And so I'm kind of feel like I'm caught between a rock and a hard place with the promotion side of it, telling people to come down, but yet you can't kind of hang out. So I love the ideas, Jack, that you're talking about as far as, trying to use some of the public space to get people walking the street. And I think that's kind of what would be great about all of this, is to come up with a strategy how to really make New London a walkable city again, So I'd love to hear some thoughts from people, what they think on the promotion side.
Would it be advantageous in any way if every restaurant, I don't even know if this is doable, if every open restaurant that had takeout, let's just say, had a posting? I'm looking at all of you. I'm blaming all of you for the 8 pounds I've gained, by the way. So would it be an idea to have a posting of, okay, I just went to Daddy Jack's, I picked up our dinner to go, and now here are some public open spaces we could go and actually sit and eat. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't even think about going to that park, or I didn't realize they had picnic tables over there. So it would be me and whoever I picked up my to-go order with, that we could share a table. There's a lot of open space in New London that some have tables, some have benches, and a lot of people wouldn't even think, oh, I could go sit there. That's a great place to go and sit.
Yeah, I think this is a great discussion. Before this virus hit, there was just so many people that part of their everyday life was heading downtown for dinner. For a lot of people, numerous times a week, and it just came to an end. And I think we have to get people into a new routine. Hey, you can still head downtown for dinner, but it's going to be a little different. you know, our parking lot was routinely, the municipal parking lot downtown was routinely full. I mean, it's heartbreaking what's happened to us. But yes, I think we have to get the word out, and we have to get a new rhythm going that you can still come down, enjoy great food, but it's going to be under different circumstances, and the circumstances will be evolving. You know that we are holding out hope that sooner or later we're all going to be able to move back inside again, hopefully before the summer weather ends. So I think that's a great discussion that you started, Robert, and I think we have to pursue that. And I thank Roseanne. She's the chairman of our Economic Development Commission. I believe they're meeting today or sometime this week. They're having their meeting. We have our we have our Economic Development Office. We have an incredibly cooperative zoning office and a planning and zoning board. So we are blessed in the city to have a great community that can work together, and we're ready to overcome these obstacles and to ensure that we can meet this challenge and get all of our small businesses, but certainly our famed restaurant industry back up and functioning. And I think New London can have a leadership role in this. We can come out of this stronger if we do this right. So the message that I want to leave this group with is that you have a city government here, an administration that's willing to work hard to try to meet your needs and to get you through this. And we have a supportive community. We have a great delegation to bring our message to Hartford. And so let's just keep communicating like this. And so let's look at let's look at I'm getting messages from all angles here. Let's look
Mayor,
up on this discussion early next week before we open, and the open doesn't stop our communications. It's unbelievable, but my Muddy Waters coffee just showed up here. They do fantastic. So the days. Yes, go ahead, Felix. If you want to sum this up, and I think we're just about getting onto taking up an hour of everybody's time, but why don't you follow up with next steps and what our plans are going forward?
Yeah, and I just wanted to quickly mention, the rumor is, the phase 2 is going to happen. Understand this is just phase 1. So the phase 2, if we continue to show positive, I can't say growth, but I guess decreasing numbers, that 4 to 6 weeks is what's been tossed around, like sometime in July for the phase 2. So know that hopefully this phase 1, what we're going into on May 20th, is very temporary. So as you plan, just know that you have to keep things very flexible, and know that hopefully the goal is to relax things more and more to get to the point where we're back to using indoor dining at sometime in the future. But we'll continue to have these conversations and navigate through this together. I think that's the best way. I mean, a lot of ideas come through these types of discussions and solutions, and we're here to help resolve those stumbling blocks for you. So just know this is the second conference of many, I would say, as we get through the summer months and the new phases that approach, the new executive orders or things that come down that's worth talking about. I'm always available. My email is freyes@newlondonct.org. Please email me any questions, concerns, email me your plans, and I'll share that with my staff to make sure we get applications processed in a timely manner. So I'll end with that. If anyone of the business owners have any final thoughts.
I put in. This is Rod. I have one more thought.
Go ahead, Rod.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. New London High School senior class reached out to me. They're trying to do a fundraiser. So tonight we're donating 10% of all our sales from 3 to 8 online and curbside pickup. So if anybody's hungry tonight and wants to eat good and do good as we put it. 10% of your sales will be going to the senior class.
Thank you, Rod.
Okay.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
there's been so many you, the restaurants, a lot of you on this conference have just really stepped up, whether you're providing foods to the emergency room fundraisers like Rod just mentioned. Your generosity during these hard times is not going unnoticed. It's really been incredible. I think with that, I'm gonna.
Guys,
Go ahead, Laura.
sorry, I put in a question that I thought could be seen. I thought this might be a good opportunity to ask the business owners that we're all condensed here. If anyone would be interested in being on a business owner Facebook group or a page that it's not related to any other like association. It's just simply a place for us to post our hours of operation, our specials, any concerns. I just feel like we're all very fractioned. And right now we're mainly talking to restaurant business owners, but we certainly have a whole other spectrum of people and businesses that need to be incorporated. And I don't even think we have the majority of our restaurant owners on this call. So I'd like to use the resources that we have in all these different groups, be it DNLA or Main Street New London. I think someone just offered some really great resources in here as well, Kristen, to just reach out to the business owners. Some of these owners are English is their second language. They don't feel inclusive to these sorts of video chats and sharing of this types of information. So I'm open to starting it and just getting the ball rolling. So it's just an easy platform for us to share information. If anybody feels interested in that, where it's not regulated, there's no like tons of rules and blah, blah, blah. That's my option. That's my idea. Just wanted to get feedback.
I think that's great. Kristen, did you want to weigh in? I think Main Street's an option too.
Yeah, and I was the one who was posting about that. So, hi. So Main Street has right now a small, it's a closed Facebook group just so that people aren't spammed with weird random, things from people who aren't business owners. It's called the New London Merchants Group. But I would just, after Laura had posted that, I just started creating one called like the Reopen New London Business Group. And we can add whoever we want to that group. It can be open or closed. I mean, the benefit of it being closed is that if you want to have conversations about like, how many porta potties do we need in things, you don't get someone who isn't a business owner weighing in of like, I'd love to see, other things. But it doesn't have to be a closed group. So we can start that, and I can make as many people administrators as we want to so that we get all the businesses involved. And we can kind of go from there, if that makes sense to everyone.
That does to me. I'm sure there'll be things to figure out as we go, because we'd like to parlay that probably into being somewhat of a promotional tool as well.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Mainly as informational. Like I'd like to know when the Eyeglass Lass lady is open now, or what her promotions are, even if she's not restaurant. I want to be able to look on one source and say, yes, she is. This is where
absolutely
she's doing.
The other thing that you should all know is that the retailers, the small group that we have, are active and involved and excited to be reopening also tomorrow. And we're having a conversation, or next week, I should say. And what they are considering doing and planning on doing is that if someone mentions that they have been to a restaurant or will be going to a restaurant, that they will offer a 10% discount on a retail purchase, just because there's a little more wiggle room in retail. So they're already thinking about how we can work together and just kind of make it feel as cohesive as possible. The other thing is Rich Martin put together a really lovely rainbow heart and whale tail design, and I'm going to be working on getting that out to everyone to put in all of our windows in addition to the other hearts. But it's a really pretty sort of watercolor heart, and I'll try and get that out to everyone in the next few days. So
that'd be nice.
So this is a great discussion. I think you should pick it up. I also want to remind everybody that Main Street previously had in-person meetings, our previous life of merchant meetups, and perhaps Main Street will get those merchant meetups going again virtually, and that's a great way for our merchants in at least in the downtown district to communicate. I also want to point out that one of the projects that's, I don't know that it's stalled out, but of course the COVID pandemic has affected all of our operations to a certain degree, but we are rolling out a city app. And our dream is to have everybody, you know, whether you're visiting our city, whether you're, you know, living in our city and you just want to see what's going on tonight before you head somewhere out, you know, out to your, to pursue some entertainment, to be able to go to one spot, one city app. It's going to have all sorts of tiles. ODP was designing it, working with our vendor on that. That is moving forward, and that's our dream, to have one city app. You arrive on a train, or you're just, you know, you're in one of our neighborhoods and wanting to, you know, head out. You'll be able to go one place for, you've got a service request. You want to find out something, you know, when is the spring cleanup that Public Works is picking up. Anything like that, we want to have a one-stop app for everybody in the city to be able to use for information. So that is still a work in progress, and we're hoping to roll that out in the near future. So, you know, we have some exciting things coming, Laura, to pursue those communication issues. With that, I think Representative Nolan, did you want to give off?
I just got someone had just asked me if you could put on your list the closing of Pearl and Golden Street to Bank Street, so that you can put picnic tables out in the middle of the street so that the restaurants can also use the side streets, and also possibility of picnic tables on the pier that are spread out enough for people to eat on the pier also.
Absolutely. All of those possibilities are under discussion, and we will facilitate using all of our public spaces to the maximum extent possible to help facilitate allowing people to take advantage of the downtown businesses, restaurants and businesses, and be able to, if you can't go inside, you'll be able to at least enjoy an outside public space to sit down and have your meal or just visit downtown. So, all right. So I think we're going to wrap this up. This was terrific. I'll tell you, my life has been a lot of these Zoom meetings, teleconferences, and this is the second one. But to have one that's attended by 60+ people is unique. So there's a lot of interest here. This is a great group, and we want to keep the energy going. We need to hear from you so that we make sure that we're directing our efforts in the right places, in the right place to be able to provide what you need to get you going. So thank you with that. Look for information about the next meeting, and stay in touch. So thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
God bless everyone.
Great to see you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the coffee, Sue.
Bye, guys.
Sue, I got my coffee too. Thank you very much.
I didn't get my coffee.